welcome to Homemaker Living. My name is Teresa. Today we're in my kitchen, but today we're not playing with soil and tomato plants. Today we're going to make vegetable broth. You might ask, why vegetable broth when you can conveniently buy it at the grocery store in those shelf-stable containers? And my why is flavor, cost, and waste. I can make something that tastes way better, more flavorful than I can get in a box. It costs next to nothing because you're using remnants from previous meals that you've cooked, and you're not wasting it by throwing it in your compost since it's edible, and hopefully not throwing it away. My daughter-in-law makes vegetable broth. I quizzed her on her process, and then I looked up a recipe just so I'd have a guide as far as how much ratio of certain things you should put in it. And from there, it's whatever remnants you have or whatever taste you have. We eat a lot of your basic vegetables: celery, onions, carrots, tomatoes, peppers, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower. All of those remnants you can put in your vegetable broth. It depends on your taste. If you don't like cabbage, don't put cabbage in there. If you don't like celery, don't put celery in there. But there's probably a lot of vegetables that you do eat that you can use and make a wonderful vegetable broth. So what I do is when I'm cooking my meals, if there's anything that I've cut off of celery, carrots, onions, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, all those ends that aren't nasty, anything that you would just chuck into your compost bin, I keep those and I throw them in a freezer container, and I just freeze them and I just keep them in there until I'm ready to use them. You want to have obviously a good volume of it to make a broth, and it usually makes quite a bit. So in this particular container of what I'm using today are remnants of celery that I've cut off that are edible, not deemed for the compost pile. Lots of the onion bits. These are ends of onions that you normally would, when you chop off and peel the ends off, you have edible, usable onions. I also put in the thicker onion skin peel that you pull off the end of that, because all of this is got lots of flavor in it. Sometimes the thing I'm lacking in my freezer container are carrots, but I do keep my eye on any that are getting kind of soft, kind of wilty, or that we've used to peel for another meal, and then just that core is left, so I'll throw those in here. If I don't have enough, I'll just grab one while I'm making the broth, just to bring up that volume. A few of the other things that I'll throw in here, like I said, is cabbage. You can use bell pepper ends. You can use mushrooms, like I said before, cauliflower, broccoli, anything that you like the flavor of that you think will make a good broth, then I would just suggest you use it. I'll list a recipe in the show notes below that I used as a guide to get me going when I first started making vegetable broth. It couldn't be easier. Basically, you take all the ingredients, throw them in your Instant Pot or your pressure cooker. I have an Instant Pot. So let's get started. For our spices, we have 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. You're going to add 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, you're going to add all your remnants, again, onions, carrots, peppers, tomatoes, cabbage, celery, and add all your veggies. All look good. We're going to go ahead and core up this mealy apple. And you don't even have to really chop it. I chop it up a little bit. Throw that in there. You're gonna add, it says 8 to 9 cups of water, but I base mine on how much contents I have in here. So we're gonna add, I like to kind of, I think I'm gonna add 7. Do 7 cups of water for the amount of vegetables that I put in there. I also have a little bit of cabbage. Cabbage head that's at the end. Go ahead and throw that in there. And I choose to, if I can, chop off the end of that and throw the rest all in there. last thing I like to add is one of the recipes I perused. I think it was one of the recipes, called for some tomato sauce in there. A tablespoon or so. So I do like to add, I have this frozen spaghetti sauce I used in the last one. I do like to add a little bit of that in there. It has good color, good flavor. So then we will stir that up a little bit. Put the lid on it. Make sure it's plugged in. Then we will set it to manual, 30 minutes, and then that will come up to pressure. Take about 20 minutes or so to come up to pressure. It'll cook for 30 minutes, then it has to release its pressure. You want to make sure that you're not on venting, that you're on sealing. If you're using an Instant Pot in this manner, it has this little dial on top. All right, so when that is done cooking and it beeps, we'll come back and we'll take a peek. Well, it finished cooking about an hour and 15 minutes ago, and the pressure should have come down by now, so let's take a peek and see. Yep, nothing's coming out. And the moment of truth. My husband says it smells amazing in here. If it was smell-o-vision, hun, what do you think? What would you rate it?
I would give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it smells delicious. Let me show you what it looks like. All right, let's take it out. You know what? I probably should put an apron on before I splash this stuff all over. Here we go. We will dump it into a colander, into a glass bowl. Oh my gosh, that looks really good. It looks like I made soup. Really, it could have been soup. Okay. Get a plate. Put this on. Oh my gosh. Not only does it look so robust and a good color, it smells so good. Unlike the box kind. I wonder if you could smush it down. Oh yeah. It's like a sponge. Everything's so saturated. Call that good. That's the remnants. All cooked down. We will put this on a plate, set it aside. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. This is gonna make really yummy Cabbage Patch soup. When it cools down, I will put some in these jars. I keep these glass peanut butter jars. They're really great for freezing little batches of leftover soup or the vegetable broth that has that nice rubber seal in there. Always leave a little bit of a head space so you don't have any jar breakage in the freezer. But as soon as this cools down, ooh, it's hot. As soon as this cools down, we'll come back and we'll jar it up. I think it's cooled down enough now to jar them up. So we're going to just ladle the broth into our jars. If I was making a recipe, I would not be putting them in jars. I would just use it right in the stock pot. But I don't think I'm going to use it for a few days. So I'll just show you how I fill them up. It's like the easiest canning you'll do. Would probably let them cool a little bit more. Actually, I think I can jar them and put the lids on them, but I'm going to let them cool completely before I put any in the freezer. And then I'll just pop these in the refrigerator for use in the next couple of days. And you should feel very comfortable using vegetable broth in any of your recipes that you make, that you normally, if you use chicken stock, or I would go as far as to say you could do the same for beef stock. It has such good flavor. So I don't know that it really matters what kind of stock you use. I also have used vegetable broth for when I make quinoa or rice. It adds, instead of using water, it adds additional flavor, and you can really tell a difference by doing that. Let's see, maybe one more. And other than the flavor and the really great smell, is really virtually, it's, other than your time of saving the remnants and cooking it, it's really no cost. Yeah, you put a little bit of garlic in there extra, some seasonings, but the main, predominantly the main ingredient would have gone most likely in the garbage or in your compost. So you can really have some cost-effective broth. So we have 4 jars and a little tiny bit left in the bowl, and it was free. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Homemaker Living. See you next time. Thanks. Bye.